Yeah, I'll do a quick intro. So I'm not
Okay.
quite reading the entire thing about the entire bio and description, but I figured I would do a pretty quick intro and thank sponsors and folks, and then hand it off.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks. All right, hi everybody, welcome to Accessibility New York City. So we have today with us Jonathon Epstein, who brings a bunch of experience in transition, employment, internship, volunteer, and recreation service for New York nonprofits, and in particular with AHRC New York City as a transition developer, providing adaptive sports programming as InTandem's Director of Operations, and working with cultural institutions, museum arts, and culture access consortium steering committee member. So here today to talk about remote access to services. Before we get started, a quick thank you to our sponsors, Equal Entry and Level Access, and to Jolly from Internet Society Accessibility Special Interest Group for handling live streaming and recording, and Mirabai from White Coat Captioning. With that, over to you, Jonathon.
Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you so much, Accessibility New York City. I am just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna share a presentation. So tonight I'll be presenting on the state of disability services, primarily from my own experience during the pandemic. So, and I'll also be talking a lot about how you can help the disability community during this time. So first, I'm going to go over the agenda. I'll do more of an introduction and an access check, and then we'll go over the primary needs of the disability community during the pandemic. I'll talk about how people with disabilities are responding to the pandemic, how our government is supporting the disability communities, ways to volunteer and support the disability community. I'll talk a lot about my day job, AHRC NYC. I'll talk about various digital partnerships and really exceptional services that are out there for the disability community. I'll talk about what the Museum Arts and Culture Access Consortium is doing. I am very much involved in adaptive fitness, adaptive sports, so I'll talk a lot about that. And then I'll make some suggestions for some facilitators, people facilitating sessions online for people with disabilities. And then I'll mention some other ways that you guys can get involved in supporting the disability community. So first, an access check. So while I'm doing the presentation, please keep yourselves on mute and your videos off. We'll do a Q&A where everyone can share their videos afterwards. Please keep messaging in the chat to a minimum, because for people who utilize screen readers, they are going to pick up everything that you write in the chat during the presentation. So yeah, there'll be plenty of time for Q&A after and networking. I'll be providing visual descriptions throughout the event to ensure accessibility for people who are blind or have low vision. I'll start by describing myself. I am a white male wearing a dress shirt with some floral pattern on it. I'm in my late 30s, and I have brown hair and blue eyes, and I'm wearing big black headphones. Most of the slides are blue, green, and yellow, and with black writing. I want to create a really relaxed environment. So please, at any point, if you need to go get a drink of water or take a break, don't feel obliged to stay. We'll be recording this, and it'll be shared later too. Our amazing cart provider is Mirabai Knight. Thank you, Mirabai. And if you're speaking during the Q&A, there's no pressure to have your camera on if you don't feel comfortable with that. And please contact the Accessibility NYC staff if you have any need for accommodations or any technical issues. Okay, so
I'm so sorry to interrupt. So you said there will be recording, and it would be possible to get it, the recording of this meeting?
Yeah. Afterwards, yes, for sure.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
That's okay. So the primary needs of the disability community right now, since the beginning of the pandemic, are food, cleaning products, PPE. The disability community and disability service providers are really low on funds. That's a big issue right now. At-home activities are really important for people to stay engaged. Social connections virtually are very important, and accessible technology guides and supports. I am, most of my experience is working with adults with developmental disabilities. I serve the disability community at large. So in my experience working with adults with developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities, a lot of people are very angry and frustrated and confused there's a lot of stress, people in sharing, being stuck at home together. So people are under a lot of stress, and that's understandable. I've personally lost many people that I've been working with for over a decade, coworkers, people I support who have underlying conditions. Has destroyed our community, the pandemic. So it's been very hard for all of us. Our government in New York City has really stepped up. The mayor's office for people with disabilities is one of the best resources you can possibly, we all have. They do a tremendous job of connecting people with resources. So they've got weekly calls with all kinds of updated news and resources. If you go to their website, I'm not going to read out all the websites, but I will share this PowerPoint with the community afterwards so that everyone has the resources. But you can call 311 for their information. But they have, weekly calls with the whole community, and I utilize their at-home activities page with people that I support almost daily. They have so many great resources listed there, and ways that you for people to give back, like, for instance, Help Now NYC is if you want to learn how you can receive support or how you can support New Yorkers with disabilities, that's a great resource. they're delivering PPE and food and resources all over. They're doing a great job. So I'm going to talk about AHRC's virtual volunteer program. So pretty much anyone who's interested in getting involved can, and you can just connect with us at AHRC, and whatever your interests are or what your strengths are, we'll connect you with people that you can give back to in a meaningful way. Like if you're super interested in sports, we can set you up with people who have the similar interests and you can have a discussion group. Could really be anything along those lines.
Sorry to interrupt. Got a question in from the YouTube channel to define PPE, please.
Oh, personal protective equipment. Sorry. Like masks, for instance, and gloves. Sorry about that. I'll try to stay away from the acronyms. Yeah, we have volunteers running all kinds of different sessions at AHRC. So you can contact Karen Zuckerman, our Director of Volunteers and Corporate Engagement, karen.zuckerman@ahrcnyc.org, or me. I'll provide everyone with my contact information, jonathan.epstein@ahrcnyc.org. It's Jonathon with an O-N at the end, Jonathon. I've done some work with Invisible Hands Deliver. They have volunteers making deliveries to at-risk community members facing COVID. I've got their logo here, a white and a blue interlocking hand with the words Invisible Hands in turquoise. They are at invisiblehandsdeliver.org. They're a really wonderful organization. Other ways that you can give back are getting involved with reaching out community services. I've worked with many different food pantries. This is a food pantry based in Brooklyn. I've worked with dozens over the years. These are they're doing some of the best work out there, and they're a smaller organization, so they really need help more than like the New York Common Pantry. So reaching out community services, they were typically getting 80 families a day prior to COVID. Now they're getting over 200 people, 200 families a day. So, and they're now creating a new service for homebound persons, largely seniors and people with disabilities. So they have a very safe way of volunteering. You can pick up food outside of their building and then deliver it to people outside of their building, so you don't have to go inside. Danielle Cafaro is doing all their communications, and she's at COVID-19 at rcsprograms.org. They're a really wonderful organization. I'll be partnering with them for AHRC's MLK Day of Service, where we focus on fighting food insecurity. I'm going to talk a bit about how AHRC is supporting people that we support. So we are in regular contact with the people that we support and their families, and constantly assessing what their needs are and connecting them with resources that make sense for them. So we have staff bringing PPE, personal protective equipment, food, cleaning supplies, anything that people really need to their homes. We're providing people with, not everyone can use technology or is interested in technology. So we're bringing like activity kits and to people's homes, art supplies. We're giving people iPads. We're helping people connect with free Wi-Fi services. That the mayor's office for people with disabilities has information, for instance, about why they have all kinds of information, but they have information about Wi-Fi services on their website. That's where I learned about that. We help people practice using different platforms. We have created accessible guides. So like, so if someone's having trouble, for instance, getting onto Zoom, they can just follow a series of pictures to learn how to do that. If anyone else out there has accessible guides for using technology, please share, because that's very much needed right now. I work for Adult Day Services. I serve 2,300 people in 31 different programs. And now that most of our programs, I mean, people aren't coming physically to our programs. Our staff have been reallocated largely to supporting people in our residences, which were not set up to support people 24/7 because people used to go to day programs. So our staff are now supporting in their residences. And we're just starting now to pilot some in-person supports in a very safe way. So a lot of thought going into that. So moving on, so we've created, so we're Adult Day Services we have, at our facilities, people would come in prior to COVID, people would come in, they would check in with each other, find out what they were going to do that day, either, go to a job site, go to a volunteer opportunity, go to a cultural institution, and then come back to the facility. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. So we try to create their Zoom experience in a very similar way. So it's the same login credentials every day to keep it as easy as possible for people. People come in to the main room, and then they have options of what type of activities they want to do that day. And we have people facilitating all kinds of different workshops throughout the day. Dance, yoga, music, any interest area, art. We have history, you name it. We have staff facilitating all types of different sessions. So people are meaningfully engaged in things that they're personally interested in, and they go into the breakout room with that specific interest area. So we have creative specialists, program management, direct support staff, and we have a lot of community partners involved as well. Especially during this time, it's important to give people a voice. So we have our self-advocacy is a big part of what we support people with. And so we have, people have chosen to take up the cause of that they're calling self-advocates and police violence. So if you are interested in being part of the meetings where people with disabilities and allies get together to discuss how to end police violence and racism towards Black people, that is most definitely something you can attend. We don't share, I'm not going to share out the direct Zoom because we want to make sure that not just anyone jumps in. You can RSVP at this link that is going to be part of this presentation that I will make available for you after. The image here is three fists of Black and brown people inside of a text box. At the top, it's self-advocates and police violence. I'm going to get into some of the really wonderful community partners that AHRC has. So Beat Global has been doing really wonderful work with AHRC since the beginning of the pandemic. They have all types of different programming that around hip hop culture, and with us, they facilitate beatboxing classes. The images on the screen are of Johnny Buffalo and Chris Solis, who are beatbox instructors. And they are funny, fun, engaging. Everyone has a really fun time, and people progress. And it's actually a proven speech therapy technique. And but most importantly, people are just look forward to it and just connect with each other and with the instructors and have a great time. We have Brittany Wilson actually in this meeting right now today, and she'll be able to answer any questions you have afterwards. They're at beatglobal.org, BEAT global.org. We have a really wonderful partnership with Collab Theater Group. Their instructors facilitate musical theater programming for people that we support. We have people doing In the Heights right now. They're having a great time. You can learn, they have a great YouTube channel where you can learn all about them. They have an excellent Collab comes together virtual programming. I believe some Collab reps might be here today. To partner with them, you can contact them at programs@collabtheatergroup.com. They like to be very transparent, so they asked me to mention that their rates are $350 per workshop, but if that's not affordable for an organization, they're very open and willing to make a more fiscally manageable agreement. But I can tell you that it's worth every penny. The MoMA is working with us on a regular basis. So Carrie McGee and Teresa Rodwald were coming in for regularly to do Zoom sessions with us. So they look at works from their collection with people with artists that we support, and engage people in really meaningful conversations about the artwork. One thing that they've done which is a great model, is they give people homework around creating art, and having something to do outside of the session that they can then work on and bring back and share with the group is a great model for providing services right now. and you can, yeah, so check out their website. They've got a tremendous amount of accessible material on their site. So that's the Museum of Modern Art. Okay, so the New York Transit Museum. Sorry, just having a little technical difficulty. Okay, so one of my slides isn't working, so I'll just talk about it. So we have a partnership with the Intrepid Museum. So they've provided some free workshops for us. They have provided free virtual tours of their museum that are, and the group got to choose from a whole bunch of different options, and the facilitators did a lot of work to make sure that they knew a lot about the people that they were going to provide the session to make sure that it was accessible, which was very much appreciated. It was, yeah, we learned a lot and we had a really great time, and I very strongly recommend working with the Intrepid. Charlotte Martin should be here today if you want to ask her questions about the Intrepid Museum. So the New York Transit Museum has provided AHRC with and lots of other nonprofits and the general public with accessible virtual programming. They have a lot of really robust programming on their website for remote learning. Their accessible programs have always been really wonderful. They offer free digital discussions throughout the week that anyone can register for as on an individual basis. Group programs that can be very much customized are offered at specific time slots during the week, and they're $50 per session. And you can contact Access at nytransitmuseum.org. Yeah, Sarah Thompson is a colleague of mine at the Museum Arts and Culture Access Consortium, and she's also an educator at the Transit Museum, and she does a great workshop. I strongly recommend working with her. Okay. All right. So, yeah, some of my slides are having issues. That's okay. So I'm going to talk a bit about the PACE Service Learning Project. This is a partnership with PACE University and AHRC NYC that I've been overseeing for the last 5 years and has existed for about 18 years. Every spring and fall for a whole semester, 3 months, PACE University students and people supported by AHRC are partnered one-on-one, and the PACE University students support people to make websites about themselves. It could be a virtual portfolio for an artist. It could be a digital resume for a job seeker, or it could just be like an About Me website, or really anything that people want to make. Someone this semester is going to be making a website to sell the candles that they make, for instance. So what comes out of this partnership is people work very closely together and they form friendships. And And of course, they get a product that's going to support them for potentially the rest of their lives, and they can continue to work on. So what's interesting is that doing this project last semester ended on virtually. So we turned around very quickly, and we're on Zoom. And we found that the websites were actually better than previous semesters, because when you're using Zoom and you're developing a website together, you're all looking at the same thing at the same time. And then everyone has a lot of live feedback, and it ends up being a better product. It's just one of those silver lining things about the pandemic. It was great. And this semester coming up will be all virtual for about 40 people supported by AHRC and 40 Pace University students. There's usually, each semester is usually almost 60 people involved, but between AHRC schools and AHRC Adult Day Services and Employment Business Services. Daniel's Music Foundation. Luckily we have Daniel himself here today and his father, Ken Trush. Daniel's Music Foundation and AHRC have been working closely together for a long time. We have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, about 48 people in Adult Day Services. Many other people from other programs and on their own time attend Daniel's Music Foundation workshops. But the partnership that I oversee is with Adult Day Services. And for many years, we have people going to their music programming, which is, they're some of the best music instructors I've ever experienced. And they really know what they're doing, and they have an amazing time. And so do all the people that we support. They have created an on-demand library of resources for the disability community that include exercises, physical exercises using music, and percussion, and sing-alongs, and it's for different age groups. I use it. I've during the pandemic, agencies don't have as many staff as they used to, unfortunately, and a lot of us are put in some strange roles that I am suddenly a music teacher. I know nothing about music, so I've been heavily relying on Daniel's Music Foundation and other materials and supports that I've found. Speaking of which, Brandy Hooper is a music instructor, and she has a really great Vimeo account with more than 50 accessible virtual lessons that I very strongly recommend. So it's vimeo.com/Brandy Hooper, BRANDY Hooper, HOOPER. She's a very gifted music instructor. Maybe DMF wants to hire her. I don't know. She's great. Disability Unite. So I'm just going to read what they've written about themselves because it's a bit complicated. Disability Unite strives for full inclusiveness of the diverse disability community to enable community mobilization and a singular voice. It uses a brand created solely for the platform, and all partners here are equal. while the name is Disability Unite, we respect the diversity of opinion, background, and lived experience within the community. The platform was created by Project Access, a disability community consortium, and the New York City Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Making events virtual has been an opportunity for the disability access and inclusion, and the growing Disability Unite community has continued to share opportunities to overcome virtual barriers. The virtual performances for the Americans with Disabilities Act 30th anniversary needed to accommodate large numbers and many ages. We choose to create a platform which could celebrate the breadth of this audience's interests and preferences. The event took place on 3 stages. Stage 1 was performance, stage 2 was discussion, and stage 3 was gaming. Users could choose their preferred user experience, typical video, which was captioned video, American Sign Language video, which also had captions, and audio description video, or plain language video. So plain language was something that was new to me. They had these virtual events for the ADA at 30. So they, for plain, if you entered the event virtually through that gateway, the plain language, so you heard one voice, which was an interpreter who took the language that was being presented by and made it into concrete terms so that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities can understand the presentation. Typically, abstract terminology does not work for that population, and this new way of making events accessible was really cool and a new experience for me. Their platform is intended to be a disability community resource, and they welcome hosting all types of events utilizing the technology they've created. So I have personally been involved in adaptive sports for many years, about over a decade. I'm the director of operations of InTandem, which provides tandem cycling programs for people with disabilities. So if someone can't ride a bicycle, they can ride on the back of a tandem. I also have been volunteering for the adaptive climbing group for a very long time. So I've utilized this experience to start providing adaptive fitness classes almost daily, mostly for AHRC, but on my free time every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. I provide a free workout. I do yoga and stretching and cardio and core exercises, and I do a lot of audio description and make and I describe modifications for each movement to make sure that it's accessible. And I have the meeting ID listed here and the password, but I've also created a Facebook group that anyone can join. It's Accessible Fitness with Jonathon. Again, Jonathon with an O-N at the end, for discussions about adaptive fitness and connecting with the community, and then also anyone can post different resources there. So, and And yeah, so resources such as Blind Alive. So Blind Alive is an organization that provides some very accessible audio recordings, fitness audio recordings. So so they're free to download. I use them regularly with people that I support. They have tracks that cover lots of different areas of exercises. So like yoga, meditation, boot camp, all kinds of things. And what's great about these audio tracks are that if you didn't understand what the instructor said, they have a separate audio track for each movement so that breaks down exactly, it breaks down the movement in more detail. They created this for the blind and low vision community, but it's a great resource for anyone. They are in need of funding. Mel Scott is the founder and creator of this, and she's out of pocket, you know, keeping it alive. So if you are interested in giving back to them, they're at blindalive.com, and definitely use their services. It's a really great resource. So the Museum Arts and Culture Access Consortium, they have a wonderful at-home activities page. I'm a board member of this organization. I've been volunteering with them, specifically with their Supporting Transitions working group, which focuses on making cultural institutions accessible for people with autism and other developmental disabilities. I've been volunteering with them for many years, and then I just joined as a steering committee member in April. So one thing that we're doing now is any artist with a disability, we are spotlighting people on our social media. So anyone interested in that can sign up for that. Go to macaccess.org. Everything's there. We have social meetups today. We just did it today, right before I came here. I did a dance workshop with Mark Morris Dance Company. We've got the Queens Theater Improv Workshop coming up on April 25th at 4 to 4:30. And these social meetups are for young adults with developmental disabilities. We have on August 28th a virtual meeting of the Day Hab Network. So day programs and cultural institutions come together and share resources. There's a job opening at MAC if anyone's interested for the project manager position. So check out our job posting there about that. Definitely utilize the cultural calendar if you have anything for the disability community that you'd like to post, please post it there. We have a 2-week intensive employment series coming up. We're gonna try to, one thing that this community that I'm talking to right now might be able to help with is we really would like to create ways to train people with disabilities how to be experts around technology, because that's where jobs are right now. And we have funding to pay instructors, or if people want to volunteer, that's cool too. So if you're interested, please let me know. So I'm gonna now just kind of go over real quickly some suggestions I have for people who facilitate Zoom sessions. I facilitate maybe like 4 to 5 hours of Zoom sessions a day, 5 days a week. So this is what I've learned. Pre-plan with people, let them know what materials they're gonna need how to set up their space. So like if you're having an art class, make sure that they have pencil and paper. Let their circles of support know what they'll need. So they get to know the group before you try to do a workshop with people. So you can make it person-centered. Empower people to support their friends. People will like call their friends and encourage them to get on the Zoom call, for instance. Provide social stories around technology, or that any social story that could help someone, but you know, technology fails a lot, and people should be prepared for that to happen. So keep the login credentials the same and consistent, so that, because it's very difficult for people to log into something new. If you're going to come and provide a service, it's better for you to come and join an existing Zoom session than to try to get people to come to you. You'll be more successful if you go to them. And create opportunities for people to be the facilitators or co-facilitators. Leave time and space for people to connect socially. People need that now more than ever. So have some, if you're gonna come and teach a dance workshop, always leave time at the end or at the beginning for people to say hello to you and get to know you a little bit and just chat. Be flexible, have lots of backup plans. Definitely have someone there to handle the technical issues, so that it's very difficult to facilitate a session while you're making sure everyone logs in and calling people to make sure that they have the Zoom credentials and stuff like that. So have someone else there to help you. Have a backup person in case your computer crashes. When people get together, it's important that they feel they belong to the group. So create bonding experiences for people. Keep the group as consistent as possible if you can. A series is always better than a one-off. Of course, you know, you have to have the finances for that. It's understandable. When people are creating things on Zoom, it's a strange environment and they might not want it to share because they're afraid maybe their work isn't as good as someone else's. So really foster an environment of healing and not competition. And use breakout rooms for people who need some one-on-one attention or to create different interest groups. So I'm going to finish my presentation by quickly talking about some ways that you guys can get involved. Submit events on the Museum Arts and Culture Access Consortium website. If you're interested in the Supporting Transitions job, please apply. Submit resources also to the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, any at-home activities. Let us know about grant activity opportunities. If you have any curriculum that you want to share with the community that's accessible, please do share. And if you're able to offer technology trainings, please let us know. Any card providers that you've worked with, or sign language ASL interpreters, or anyone that provides adaptive services that you have had success with, please let us know so that we can share it out. And that's my presentation. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Are there any questions? I am watching the chat. I'm also watching the live stream chat in case you get questions. And if you're on the Zoom call, you can also unmute and ask directly.
Anyone who has any questions, I'm very happy to answer. If any of the partner organizations, like Brittany from Beat, for instance, if you're here today, I'm happy to give you some time to talk about what you do. You can just let us know. You can take yourself off mute and share your video if you'd like.
Hi there. Yes, I can certainly speak a little bit about the organization. Sorry, here's the video. Hello, everyone. And thank you so much, Jonathan, for that amazing presentation. I've already been reached out to by one of the wonderful attendees here today, and I did want to speak briefly about Beat Global, which is the organization that offers beatboxing classes to AHRC participants. And everything Jonathan said is an amazing class for just having a great time, for socializing with your peers, as well as, you know, practicing different sounds that they might ordinarily have issues with. It's not necessarily a replacement for speech therapy, or we're saying it is speech therapy, but it is a nice complement, and it is something fun for folks to do if they are having issues with certain sounds. So I did, like I mentioned, I did get a ping from one of the participants. So just to speak briefly, we are a NYC-based organization that is offering virtual workshops currently to a few adult day programs such as AHRC. And Jonathan, I tell him all the time, he's been a fantastic advocate for Beat. He has shared many opportunities for us to work with different groups. And just continues to be a great ally for us, and you know, just like our warrior out there in the world. So we're very grateful for him. But everything that he spoke to is exactly what we like to offer in our programs, such as like the at-home activities and the socializing aspects. While it is a beatboxing class, we do allow the participants to talk to each other if they need to, if they haven't seen each other. And it's just a time to express and have a great time. So, you know, we've seen tremendous improvements with just energy and just the willingness to talk and be creative and to communicate. So we see this program as just being effective for anybody, especially for the people with disabilities, but for any communities, any ages. This is an effective tool to just be able to creatively express yourself freely. And if you're not familiar with beatboxing, it's just making sounds with your mouth. There are no instruments involved. You don't need to know anything about music. It could be your very first time ever doing beatboxing. You probably already beatbox and don't realize it. So don't be shy in trying it. It's an amazing activity. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to message me, or Jonathan has my information if you would like to reach out to him. And yeah, he can actually, if he wants to speak to just the program thus far, just how the participants are doing. But that is, you know, something you could continue to ask him about or to reach out to me. So thank you, Jonathan, for allowing me to share that.
Of
and
course,
I'm here if
Brittany.
you have any questions.
Thank you. It's an honor to work with you. Yeah. And I'm always happy
Likewise.
to promote people who are doing great work. So it's an honor to me to promote what you do.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
We did put a question written in, so just since they scrolled by a little bit. Are there particular art activities you've seen that work well online outside of conversation?
Yeah. Something that I've done I've created a lot of curriculum around the arts. Generally, if I'm going to we have a regular art group, right? So the curriculum that I create, I start with like, let's say I'm going to introduce them to a new artist, like Keith Haring. I will find like a short video, a 4-minute video about Keith Haring. I'll make sure that there's, you know, I represent the organization. I work with adults, and so I don't try to avoid adult content, but we are like a nonprofit and we have to be careful. So I avoid like nudity and cursing and stuff like that. So I always vet the material ahead of time. So I have the 4-minute video that I've vetted, and then I'll find like 4 or 5 of that artist's images, and then so I'll show the video, we'll talk about it, talk about what we learned from it. Then we'll go into images and we'll spend time, what shapes you see, what does it make you think about? You know, we just have a whole conversation about each piece, what colors are there. And then I choose one image, and I try to choose an image that you don't have to be a master to try to recreate. Sometimes, like if we're doing like Van Gogh or something, it is a complicated image. So and then we'll choose that image, I'll spotlight that image, and then we'll draw it together. I'll play soothing music, usually classical, and then we'll spend time drawing what we see. And I encourage people like draw. You don't have to draw what's on the screen. You can draw whatever this piece inspires you to draw. We always emphasize, if all you have is a crayon and a piece of paper, that's fine. Or you can use anything, any writing utensil. You can write on cardboard. You can, you know, and so that you can kind of, just with that kind of guideline, you can take any artist in the world and create a curriculum, a simple curriculum using that model that is going to be super engaging. I create a new, we create new presentations for people every week. Some programs are creating new PowerPoints every day. I don't know how to do that, but I do one about once a week. And then I use that same curriculum for different groups to work efficiently. And sometimes we'll revisit them if we haven't seen them in a while, and just do a different, when we draw, we'll just do a different piece. I hope that was helpful.
Cool, thank you. The other question that I saw go by, can you talk about why it's not usually appropriate to use virtual programs designed for kids with adults who have developmental disabilities?
Thank you so much for bringing that up. So when you work with adults with developmental disabilities, it's important to have the same expectations of people as you would anyone else their age. It's important because they're adults. They should be treated like adults. They should be given the same opportunity. Learned helplessness is very common in the disability community because people without disabilities expect very little of people. And then when everything is done for you, you don't learn how to do things on your own. So my rule of thumb when I'm training staff is like, don't do anything for someone that they can do for themselves. Obviously, you know, you don't want to create a negative environment. So if someone, you know, you don't force people to do anything, but you encourage people and you talk about the benefits of people being independent and doing things by themselves. And you try and you prompt as much as possible. So materials that are for children are infantilizing, and they promote the general population treating people with disabilities like kids when they're adults. And another reality is like, if someone is, you know, someone might be really interested in Disney, right? And there are adult ways to get involved with Disney. All the people who draw Disney characters are adults. The people, you know, so, but like Barney is for little kids. Like there's no way around that. It's for children. If an adult is trying to get a job and they're talking about Barney, you know, it's stigmatizing. So we shouldn't tell people what to do or what to think, but we can provide opportunities that are age appropriate. So if someone's making a website about their interests and they probably have more than one interest, so encourage them towards adult things that are, you know, if it's unlikely someone's going to say, I want my website to only be about Barney, you know? So maybe they have some other interests that they can share about themselves. But, you know, it's not about getting in a fight with the person, but it's about, you know, giving them other options more that are not going to be stigmatizing for that person. I hope that answered your question.
Awesome. Thank you for talking through that. And it looks like a few of the folks from Daniel's Music wanted to chime in.
Yes. Ken, Trush, and Daniel, please join us.
Thank you. Yeah. And if Nadine could also.
Yes. Hi, Nadine.
Hey, Nadine.
Nadine, you're on mute.
There you go.
Hi.
Hello.
It's great to see you guys. I was just using Daniel's Music Foundation materials today. I got a good workout.
Wow. Thank you.
You could use it for your fitness class as well.
Definitely.
I want to introduce everyone, and then Daniel is going to take through most of the little presentation. Nadine McNeil is our program director, and she's been with us for over 10 years. She's our very first operational staff person. So she's been doing an amazing job for a long time.
Yeah.
This is the one and the only Daniel from Daniel's Music. And you may see me when we talk now that sometimes I cue Daniel in, because sometimes
sometimes I have memory issues.
But not long-term, right?
Yeah, my long-term memory is good, but my short-term memory still needs a little bit of work.
You might see me. So tell everyone how old Daniel's Music is.
Oh, yeah, okay. So Daniel's Music Foundation is 14 now.
And we started with what?
We started with one keyboard class and only 5 musicians back in 2006. And today we have our very own big, beautiful 8,700 square foot music center up on 101st Street in Lexington Avenue.
And so we serve how many people in our free program?
Yeah, we serve over 300 musicians in our free program.
And what were some of the things that we had at the center? What kind of programs? We work with AHRC, right?
Yeah.
Field.
Yeah, we work with AHRC. We have field trips. We have the free program, which is what we started with.
How about some on Friday nights? What do we do?
Oh yeah, some Friday nights we have dance parties.
And then now the center is closed, so what did we do?
We opened up the DMF virtual community.
Do you want to talk a little about that virtual community, what we offer?
Oh, okay. So we offer private lessons.
Is it expensive? Or
yeah,
$50.
It's $50 for an hour. private lesson.
And what else do we have? Virtual
We have virtual dance parties.
videos, right?
Yeah, we have videos.
And Daniel's music was started as a foundation of giving. The majority of our programs are free. We do have some fee-based programs because we have a large overhead. We have about 20 staff now. And we have, like Daniel said, this big, beautiful center. But really what we want to do is give. And we have everyone on the staff are a bunch of givers.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And so we really encourage people to visit our website now, speak to Nadine, speak to this guy. He's got it all there. And, you know, our hope is not only to serve people in the metropolitan area, but nationally and one day globally as well. Because we all know how many people with disabilities in the country?
There's about 100.
About
40
million.
Oh yeah.
40 million people with disabilities in the country. And we just want to help as many people as possible.
And there are 1 billion in the world.
That's right. There's too many in the world growing every day. And the beautiful thing about music is, you know, Daniel was injured when he was 12. And like we spoke, sometimes he has short-term memory loss.
But not with music. I can listen to a song once or twice and then remember all of the words.
It has this special way of getting to people, into their soul. And we just hope that more people will take advantage of our programs. The EMF On Demand is free. Jonathon's talked about that. The live events are free. And then the fee-based, there's you know, a small fee just to cover some costs. Any questions we're happy to answer.
Definitely.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I can't say enough about Daniel's Music Foundation. Everyone that we support who's been part of it for so many years, they miss it so much. And I am trying to look into grant funding to get some live sessions going. But for now, I'm sharing your videos and almost daily. Thank you so much for the beautiful work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And then, you know, people can reach out to Nadine. She works unbelievable. I mean, I think 24/7, 7 days a week. She doesn't have to, but she chooses to. Her email is nadine@danielsmusic.org. I promised Nadine I wouldn't put her on the spot. But if you wanted to say any words, Nadine, we'd love to have you share them.
Well, one thing that I'd like to add and stress is that, you know, we know what everyone's going through right now. Everyone's having a really, really tough time. And so for groups, you know, we've decided, or the Trush family has decided, to extend our scholarship program to our groups. And so if you know of a group who is in need of a 50-minute recreational music class via Zoom, we are happy to accommodate them. They're designed for 12 participants. Generally, we don't count staff in that because we realize staff is there to support, but we will happily do our part in supporting the efforts to keep everyone happy and involved and engaged through music, because we know the power of music. We know that music is very healing. So we're here to help and we're here to give. So please reach out if you need any support in the area of having classes. We'll make that happen, even if you don't have the funding.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So folks on the Zoom call, please stick around, but I did want to say a huge thank you to Jonathon and everyone who joined for this presentation. That was covering some really awesome programs, and thank you so much for including pointers on how to participate, how to support, how to make your own. That was great stuff. We will have a recording of this video that we'll post the link to on the Meetup page. It's also on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/A11YNYC. And again, huge thanks to our sponsors, Equal Entry and Level Access, as well as Internet Society Accessibility Special Interest Group and White Coat Captioning. Thank you so much.